So the inspiration for today's talk came from a concert on Wednesday night. We went and saw the Doobie Brothers, followed by Boston. And Boston has always been an incredible inspiration to me because the precision, the detail to the sound, and you could tell that the gentleman who formed it, Tom, was a graduate of MIT, and that he was able to do this all in his basement, where he played all of the instruments and perfected it down to such a level. And he only brought in a drummer because he couldn't be as good a drummer. And he had a vocalist, and the vocalist did like 6 or 7 different harmonies in all the songs, but it was one vocalist, and it was all of this precision that he brought to it. And when I heard the lyrics come out of his mouth saying, "Don't look back," I said, that's the talk. Because what do we talk about here at Agape? We talk about that it is the sum total of our mental atmosphere that we create that takes us forward and brings into us, that builds an atmosphere that creates to us. So, what happens if we look back? We go back where? To an energy that is not what we are any longer. Every time we turn to the past, we're going down to a different vibration, because remember, no matter how old you are at this time, your vibration has come up a level, because all of your life experience has brought your vibration up to where it is. And it doesn't matter if you feel that it's high, it's low, whatever. It's a higher vibration now than it was when you were 10. Because you've become more aware. You've lifted yourself through life experience, and you've gotten so much contrast in your lives that the clarity now about what is desiring to be birthed is clearer than it's ever been. And so anytime we turn back and we start speaking about the past, anytime we turn back and we analyze the past, we are taking our vibration back, and we become that vibration that was in the past, and we attract to us at this time the same experience from the past. That sucks. When you really break it down, we were not meant to stay stable in the background. We were meant to grow and be forward. We were a creative beingness of God, individualized, that is desiring to be more in the life. So you see, it's about embracing the power that exists within us. And so in the thing, don't look back. A new day is beginning. A new day is beginning, meaning in every moment there's a new opportunity to begin the creative process again by watching what we think, do, and say, and who we're with, and what is the energy that we're about. There was this great line. He goes, "Now I see that who I am has weighed me down." Think about that. Now I see. This is an awareness that's happening. Who I am has weighed me down. Because what it comes to understand, what I've come to understand, and I think all the great spiritual teachers have come to understand, it's who we are, the vibration that we are in a moment is what we create and experience. So we can never look outside of ourselves for what's happening to us or what we're experiencing. We look within and we say, oh, if I'm experiencing that, then I am the vibration of that, because otherwise I couldn't have that experience. And isn't it great that it comes back to, and a new day is beginning? See, in every moment, it's a new time to begin again. We are never locked into the past. I think back, and I've done a lot of this recollection this week about, okay, let's look back at your life, Lee. Let's look back at this. And I remember back when Gene and I first got married, and I remember the consciousness that we had. And I remembered what that relationship was like at that moment, and it was good. But I look at what the relationship I have now is. It's so much better. I look at all the things that may have been in the past when I got let go from a job, when I got fired from a job, and how I felt absolutely miserable. And my ego was absolutely shaken to the core of its being. And I recognized I had to get fired because I was holding on to a job that was not who I was, and I would not leave the job if I hadn't got fired. And if I hadn't got fired, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. You see, things that happened 30, 40, 50 years ago have brought me in a new direction, have brought me to where I am today to be able to do what I love. So I look back at the past and say, that wasn't bad. See, this idea that we've gotten into, we label things as good and bad. Don't do that. Label it as this or that. Because this and that, when looked at in a particular way, becomes the guideline, the guidepost, the path from which we can go forward and find that new life. Without contrast, we wouldn't get there. We have to have contrast because contrast keeps us on a path. It tells us which way to go. So it's okay to be in this. Here's the thing. We understand consciousness creates. Okay? Quantum physics supports that. Spirituality has been saying this from day one. Consciousness creates. So what's consciousness? Consciousness is undefinable. But what we understand about consciousness is this. It's the sum total of our thoughts, our words, and our actions that are aligned with the belief that we are the creators of our lives, even if we don't believe we're the creators of our lives. Whatever our thoughts, words, and deeds are, the mental atmosphere of that, the sum total of that, the energy around that, the color that it represents, the visual that it represents, I'm trying to bring it into perspective for you that it could be any one of many modalities and how it shows itself, but the consciousness of all that you are is the creative force that creates, so consciousness creates. So there was a consciousness that created the past, right? There's and who you were in the past was that consciousness. Who you are today is the consciousness creating this moment. And what you become will be the consciousness that creates tomorrow. So it is always about where am I in my consciousness? Am I moving toward a greater recognition of truth? Am I moving toward a more understanding and gentleness about treating myself? You see, consciousness doesn't judge. Go to any of the traditions and they talk about non-judgment and non-attachment. In our humanness, we've gotten wrapped up in this whole idea of judgment. We've gotten wrapped up in this idea of attachment to things. Think about it. Do you remember? This is fascinating. Last night we were out to dinner, and we went to Houston's restaurant. And so Houston's is going to pay us, Agape, a lot of money because I'm about to plug them right here. Because the Houston's has the best $16 veggie burger in the world. I go there twice a year because it is the best veggie burger in the world. So we're sitting there talking, Gene and I and Steve, and we're talking about what were the greatest restaurants that we've ever eaten in. And you know, the names didn't come real fast. A few came, but a majority of those restaurants didn't come. But then as we sat there, the mouth started to salivate. And a taste was coming in. And all of a sudden the taste led, oh, do you remember where we went to La Perouse? La Perouse was this 5-star restaurant at the Intercontinental Hotel on Maui back when Gene and I would first go there, and it was absolutely incredible. You can just say the words, La Perouse. Your mouth starts to salivate just as you say that. And the waiter, I remember the waiter that we would have come up, he'd come up, Mr. Wolak, what is your pleasure today? And you would say, in anything you do, and they would always ask, is this above your expectation? You see, 5 stars is always something that exceeds your expectation. Shouldn't we be creating a 5-star life? So why are we settling for eating at Chili's? We can eat at La Perouse. You see, that's the key. When you've tasted something so great, it's hard to go back. Why? Because what is it? It's a consciousness of La Perouse. It's a consciousness of Chili's. Oh, Chili's is not going to pay us for this ad, that's for sure. But that's okay. You see how the difference in consciousness is? And so what is it about it? It's how we think about something, isn't it? So we may have an opinion of Chili's or a McDonald's or pick any restaurant. There's a consciousness about what we think about that. And there's a consciousness if you've gone to 560. That's the restaurant on top of Reunion Tower, Wolfgang Puck's restaurant. Exquisite restaurant. You will get the same experience as the La Perouse. Unfortunately, you're not overlooking the Pacific Ocean. But you are looking over the magnificent skyline of Dallas, and it's beautiful. But it's an experience. So let's take this analogy. Let's take it to the idea of health. Should we not be engaged in a consciousness where our bodies today are functioning at a level that gives us a greater sense of beingness in the world than we've even yet to experience? See, that power exists within us right now. Should we not also in our relationships be engaged in the idea that in this moment, our relationship with our parent, with our siblings, with our life partner, with our children, whoever it is, can be of a higher vibration than it's ever been before? It's only limited when we look back to the past and we allow that consciousness to come into the present moment. It comes into the present moment. We have now taken the possibility of an experience out here down to an experience of back here. And we don't realize this, that we have formed opinions within our minds about our jobs, about people in our lives, our children, our parents, our spouse, our prior spouse, our prior spouse, our prior spouse. I want to make sure, if I missed anyone, okay, our prior spouse. We go back and we bring that consciousness in, and what happens? Most of the time, if we're talking about relationships, we take the experience of the first person that we feel done us wrong, and we bring it into the most current person, knowing that they're going to do us wrong, and we're living in that vibration, and what's going to happen in that relationship? It's going to do us wrong. You can't change it because why? Consciousness around the idea of relationship hasn't changed. I remember really clearly, when I was in school, in high school, my parents were sticklers for Lee getting a scholarship. And so in order to meet my parents' demands, it was a 3.0. So Lee, in high school, finished with a 3.16, okay? Remember the numbers really well. Lee did the minimum amount that he could to get the 3.16, okay? Lee goes to college. Lee's got the same mentality, right? Lee graduates from college with a 3.06. Did I learn anything? Not really. I can't tell you a single thing other than forensics that I took. Forensics was public speaking. And public speaking was this one class that juiced me. I love to talk. Do you see that? I've created you because I love to talk. What I've learned is, as well, I love to listen. Because when you listen, you hear the stories. You hear the wisdom. There's more to be gained in listening. And then once you've listened and you've gained the wisdom, then you can share it with others. But so I did well there. But when I went back in 2004, and I went to get my master's degree in consciousness studies, I spent 3 years getting that degree. No pressure from anyone. I chose it. I graduated with a 3.85 in a master's program because it was something I wanted. But I had to let go of the consciousness of high school. I had to let go of the consciousness of college. I had to let go of the consciousness that I was doing this to meet my parents' expectations. I had to let go of all of that and come to a new consciousness that this was about birthing within me an experience that has been desired by me to be expressed all of my life, and I now have the opportunity to express it. So I'm saying, I don't know what that experience is for you, but it's there. It's in your heart. Your heart right now is saying, there's something so clear that I want to experience, and you've just got to identify it. And then you start to talk about it, you think about it, and you act from it. You see, the key thing is, as you start to do that, your whole world will change. As I went like this, I saw Moses parting the waters. And look at, there's the waters parted right in the center there. And what happens is when you push aside the past, when you don't look back, there's a path that's taking you toward your dream. But guess what? The second you look back, what happens? You turn. And when you turn, you start moving in this direction. Where are you moving? You're moving off of the path. And you turn the other way and you move where? You're off of the path. Anytime you're moving to look at the past, where are you going? You're not going down the path anymore. You're moving off of it and you're going in an opposite direction. This is the work about being in the human form as spirit expressing. It's about keeping a focus and allowing all of the distractions, all of the details, all of the nonsense that is constantly surrounding us, and stop it from pulling us away from our vision and going in the path toward that dream, toward what we desire. A man or a woman of integrity is a person who knows their vision and has aligned their thoughts, words, and actions to that. And so when someone says to you, you're a person of integrity, it means you're a person who has a vision and everything that you're doing is lined up in that vision. And I respect that because you are being your whole and perfect, unique self. Do you notice I never said you're living up to what I think you should be? Never said that. Do you notice I didn't say you're living up to what your parents would want you to be? Do you notice I didn't say you're living up to what your country would want you to be? Do you notice I didn't say you're living up to what your religion would want you to be? No, you're living up to what you want to be. Why? Because we go back to the idea, you are the Christ. You are the Buddha nature in human form, unique as you, and the only person that gets to determine your life is who you are, and as you determine that, you have the power within you through your thoughts, words, and actions to create a mental atmosphere, and in the creation of that mental atmosphere, you now become a magnet. You attract all the people, the situations, everything comes into an alignment with that, and when you are persistent and consistent in that practice, did you hear those words? P and C, persistent and consistent in those actions, it must come to pass. It's when we're not P and C that we muddy the waters. It's when we turn over here and we become distracted by this and we become distracted by this. It was fascinating. The other day at the gym, I'm known as the rebel in the gym, if you can imagine. But I have a bunch of people wearing these bracelets, our complaint-free bracelets. If you want one, there's some in the back. Ask someone here about it and they'll tell you the story. But a bunch of them are there, and they are getting into politics like you can't imagine. And so one of the individuals comes over to me and says to me, "Did you hear what they said?" And I said, I just went and saw the Doobie Brothers. And it was incredible. And I said, following the Doobie Brothers, it was Boston. And next month I'm going to go see Queen. And then in December I'm going to go see Fleetwood Mac. And I'll probably see Trans-Siberian Orchestra in December. And I don't know how many other concerts. And he says, "Are you avoiding me?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And I said, because what you're talking about has no relevance in my life. Because I am the creator of my life, and where I put my energy creates. And I'm choosing not to go there. And he says, "You're a better man than I." And I says, "No, I'm not better than you. I'm just focused." See, that's what I'm trying to say to you. You have the power to be focused. You have the power to make a new decision today and stop living up to others' expectations and live your dream and live your idea and live your focus. I love the fact that I have a friend of mine who's a chiropractor. I love him to death. And he went to medical school to be a healer. But he got there and he says, "This is not how I'm going to be a healer. This is not working for me. All I'm doing is treating symptoms." And so he became a chiropractor. And he is actually demonstrating healing in his family's life, in the client's life. He's not doing it. He's the vessel through which they can heal by giving them the platform. He listened when he was in med school when they said, "You have to do it this way." And he says, "But that's going to hurt the patient." And they said, "But that's standard protocol." And he said, "No, I don't want that." And he quit. His parents were horrified. but he's living the life of his dreams. He's happy. I remember something else. When I was 15, my parents wanted me to be a priest. And I was in the seminary to be a priest in Catholicism, Archdiocese of Detroit, Cardinal Mooney Latin School at 15. Now, many of you don't know me, but can you imagine me in the priesthood? It's not a pretty picture. And that pretty picture outplayed itself in 1 year, and they didn't ask me back. But there was a calling then about helping people see their truth. And so I went from 15 to 57 before I got back into my truth. The time in between was a time of clarity. It wasn't wasted time. You know, you hear Meatloaf, there's a song Meatloaf does. If you don't know Meatloaf, I love Meatloaf too. He's got a song called Wasted Youth. There's no such thing as wasted youth. Youth is about clarifying what is the vision, what is it that you're desiring to do. So the time between leaving the seminary, the time to become a New Thought minister was not wasted youth. It was a time of clarity. All of the experience, all of the life that I experienced at the time was about me getting clear on what I want to do. So where you are in your life, I want you to think about that there was no wasted time. Some people say, well, I was in this marriage, and they were horrific, and now I'm single and that. That was not wasted time. That was about getting clarity about truly what you want, so you're now open to receive the perfect man or perfect woman who's been waiting all of their lives to be with you. And when you accept the idea that there is a partner out there, if you believe there's a partner and you're open to be the person that would be in that relationship, you become a magnet, a beacon. You're a beacon over there going beep, 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 beep. And in India, maybe in Afghanistan, maybe in China, maybe in Korea, maybe in Canada, there's a person hearing that beep going, I hear something. By God, that's my true love. I must seek her out. I don't know what accent that was, but I was trying not to be Lee. You see, remember, there's 7.5 billion people on the planet that are all connected. Meaning if they're all connected, there's one mind. And what is known in one part of the mind of God, or the mind, the infinite mind, is known in all of the mind. So if we're tapped in and we're putting out a specific thing into that individual mind that we are of the one mind, it is heard throughout, and what is heard throughout will attract unto it what is like it. That's why it's really important to be clear. Clear about your health, clear about your wealth, clear about your career, clear about self-love, clear about what is your purpose in life, clear about your relationships. It's about you really taking control and being clear in all of the areas, not just one, because we see this all the time. This person's got a perfect body, but their relationships stink. This person's got all the money in the world, but they've got horrific disease. It's about getting the balance. You see, there's a balance in human form. There's a balance of ideas in life. And we have the power to shift our thinking in each of these areas and become a magnet, and we can attract it all. But maybe we give ourselves a break, and we don't have to attract it all at the same time. We can work on one, and then another, so that we can then bring some clarity to an area that is really weighing us down, and when that becomes balanced, we turn to this area, we bring some clarity to that, and now that's not weighing us down, and then we come over here, and then once we've brought that clarity and we've got a little bit of a balance going on, now we can sort of multi-focus in our day. We can designate a minute here for this, a minute here for this, a minute here for this, to really keep that clarity going. Because remember, it's about keeping it going. You can't look back, but society, television is out there saying, look back. Look at all the distractions we're creating for you. Everything out there is about taking you off your vision. When you really buy into that, sit down today for a half hour and watch television. See how you are being taken off of your vision. My cement man, I had a deck poured in back for a hot tub. And he came and I said, I was thinking about how do you get the river rock on a deck to really show up in that. He says, it's an amazing thing. I pour concrete with a special rock in it, okay? And I put it down there, and the people are fascinated. They all come out and want to watch this, and I come out with about 8 1-liter bottles of Coke. And what I do is I shake them up and I spray it on there. And the Coke dissolves the concrete. It eats it away, so the only thing that's showing now is the rock. He says, do you know how many people, after I show them that, quit drinking Coke? So if I press the button, I tried to. I'm purposely pressing a button because I'm loving it. Do you believe everything you read? The question is, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying, what do you believe about it? What do you really believe about it? What is your belief structure about health? I'm asking you to really think things out in your life and say, my unconscious belief is this, and then if that's your unconscious belief, you got to move in the direction of what you believe. Because when you move in the direction of what you believe, you create. You create a purpose-filled, purpose-driven, self-chosen life. And isn't that what we want? I don't want to look like Ronald McDonald, do you? I'm going to catch heck from my son for speaking about this because there's no judgment in God, and I'm being quite judgmental at this moment, aren't I? All right, in my non-judgment or my judgment, I just move my wristband to the other wrist. It's now on film that I am human and I do make errors. You see, this is the beauty. I'm not asking you to believe a single thing I say, but I'm asking you to think for yourselves. I'm asking you to test it for yourselves. I'm asking you to be unique for yourselves. And here's what I want you to know. No matter who you're being at any time, at this spiritual center of Agape, we accept you just the way you are. We understand that you're perfect in every way and that you're on your own personal journey of life transformation. And that journey is the most sacred journey that anyone can be on. Now, I invite you that if we create that sacred space here, I invite you to create that sacred space for everyone that comes into your contact. Love them as they are. Do not judge them. Do not be attached to what they do. It doesn't mean you have to be with them. Let them go if they need to be let go. But again, honor who you are, what is your purpose, and why you were here. For I know who you are. You are the Christ, and you are the Buddha nature, and you are perfect just as you are. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.